The galactic dominion had existed for millennia. It had crushed worlds, toppled civilizations, and absorbed species into its ever-growing empire. Its fleets were vast, its armies relentless. When they encountered the humans, the Dominion's high strategos barely batted an eye. Another minor species, another planet to subjugate. They had no idea what they were walking into. Admiral Threx of the Dominion's Third Expansionary Fleet stood at the command dais, observing the human homeworld, Earth, through the holographic interface. He was unimpressed. A standard nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere. Moderate gravity. An outdated planetary defense grid. Primitive nuclear weaponry. Their fleet barely counted as military grade. This will be simple, his second-in-command, Strategos Call, mused. The humans have not even attempted to reach beyond their system in any meaningful way. Their technology is at least a century behind our own. We should deploy ground forces immediately and establish Dominion before they even mount a response. Admiral Threx nodded. Agreed. Prepare the invasion carriers. This will be a swift campaign. The Dominion did not believe in diplomacy with lesser species. It simply took what it wanted. Their fleet moved into position, descending toward Earth with the confidence of conquerors. The humans had other plans. The first shot. The moment the Dominion's warships entered Earth's atmosphere, the humans responded, not with diplomacy, not with surrender, but with fire. A barrage of missiles, railgun slugs, and directed energy weapons tore through the Dominion's landing craft before they could even deploy their troops. The sky above Earth became a graveyard of burning wreckage. This is impossible. Kal hissed, his mandibles clicking in alarm. They shouldn't have detected us so soon. Their technology is not what we assumed, Threx finished grimly. In space, the Dominion's capital ships prepared for orbital bombardment, but their weapons systems flickered. Their targeting computers failed. Entire battleships went dark. Human cyber warfare had infiltrated their networks in seconds. Admiral, we are losing control of the fleet. They are inside our systems, a technician shrieked. Before Threx could react, human fighter craft, small, fast, and terrifyingly maneuverable, swarmed their capital ships like a plague of angry insects. They fired kinetic weapons at weak points in the Dominion's hulls, using sheer speed and aggression to overwhelm ships hundreds of times their size. The invasion fleet was dying before it could even land. But the worst was yet to come. The monster behind the curtain. The Dominion had underestimated humanity in every possible way. Their technology was not primitive, it was deceptively advanced. Their lack of interstellar expansion was not due to weakness, it was a deliberate choice. They had never needed to expand. Humans were apex predators on a world filled with monsters. And they had spent millennia perfecting one thing above all else: war. As the Dominion forces struggled to reorganize, the humans deployed something terrifying. It was not an orbital weapon. It was not a fleet of warships. It was a single transmission. It played across every Dominion channel. A simple message, spoken in flawless Dominion standard. You started this war. We will finish it. Then Earth's true weapons were unleashed. Admiral Threx watched in mounting horror as his once proud fleet spiraled into chaos. Dominion warships, designed to break entire star systems, were now burning wreckage in low orbit. Their shields had been bypassed, their weapons hacked, their communications drowned in relentless human cyber warfare. Oh, how was this possible? Admiral? Strategos Call's voice was frantic. The humans are launching something. It's not a missile, not a ship. I don't even know what it is. Threx turned to his tactical display, and his two hearts nearly stopped. The drop that ended the war. High above Earth, Dominion battleships detected something unusual, a series of massive, unguided metal rods, each the size of a skyscraper, falling from orbit at incredible speed. They aren't firing them, one of Threx's officers whispered in disbelief. They're just dropping them. And then the rods hit. The first struck a Dominion dreadnought. It didn't explode, it simply tore through the entire ship like a bullet through paper, piercing its reinforced hull, ripping through decks, engines and reactors before exiting the other side. The ship shuddered, then split apart in an expanding fireball. The second rod hit an orbital carrier, punching straight through its hangar bay and out the lower decks. The impact ignited stored munitions, turning the vessel into a sunlit explosion visible from Earth's surface. One after another, the rods fell, kinetic bombardment at its most terrifyingly efficient. There was no countermeasure, no defense. These weren't weapons. They were executions. Planetary nightmare. On the surface, What remained of the Dominion's ground forces scrambled for cover as Earth's militaries unleashed their full strength. The Dominion had expected primitive tactics, outdated firearms. Instead, they encountered a species that had been fighting wars before their own empire even existed. Drones the size of insects swarmed over the battlefield, targeting vital organs with surgical precision. Camouflaged infantry emerged from nowhere, humans and adaptive exosuits that turned them into ghosts, silent, lethal, untraceable. And then there were the machines. Autonomous war machines designed for planetary defense, moved with unsettling coordination. Some were quadrupedal, sprinting faster than the fastest Dominion soldier. Others hovered, deploying energy-based railguns that could tear through Dominion armor like wet parchment. Within hours, the landing sites became graveyards. The Dominion's troops did not just die. They were hunted. The final broadcast. A Dominion cruiser, barely functioning, managed to send a transmission to its homeworld. The message was simple. Do not send reinforcements. Do not retaliate. Do not engage. Humans are not to be fought. They are not to be provoked. They are not to be challenged. This is not a war. This is a massacre. And then the humans sent their message. It was short. Terrifyingly short. Run. Admiral Threx stood motionless on the bridge of his burning flagship, staring at the carnage unfolding around him. The Dominion Armada, once the pride of 1,000 conquered worlds, was now nothing but shattered debris drifting in Earth's orbit. What horrified him most wasn't the destruction. It was how fast it had happened. The humans had dismantled his fleet in hours. Not days. Not months. Hours. And now they were coming for the survivors. The hunters arrive. Sir, incoming transmission, a trembling officer whispered. Threx turned to the flickering holoscreen. A human stared back at him, one of their commanders. He was older, scars lining his face, but his expression was eerily calm. Too calm. You should have left when you had the chance, the human said. Threx's mandibles clenched. We are the Dominion, he growled, mustering the last shreds of defiance. We do not retreat. The human tilted his head. Oh, you'll wish you had. Then the transmission cut, and the final phase of the slaughter began. Planetary extinction. On the surface, the Dominion's forces, what remained of them, had fortified a position near the ruins of their landing zones. Their heavy walkers were deployed, their plasma artillery primed. They had expected the humans to attack in force. Instead, the sky fell on them. 1,000 precision strikes rained from orbit, not nukes, not plasma, just tungsten rods the size of city buses moving at Mach 10. Entire platoons were erased in an instant. Walkers became craters. Artillery batteries were reduced to molten slag. When the dust settled, the battlefield was eerily silent. Then came the shadows. Human special forces moved in, silent, unseen. The Dominion troops never saw them coming. They only heard whispers in the wind. Then they died. The humans weren't just fighting to win. They were making a point. The retreat that became a rout. On the Dominion homeworld, panic spread like wildfire. Every attempt to contact the fleet had failed. The last transmission they received from Threx's forces was little more than static-filled screaming. The few ships that managed to flee Earth's orbit arrived as drifting wrecks, their crews broken, their systems corrupted. The Dominion's leadership gathered in their war chambers, desperate for a solution. And then the human message came through. It was just one word. Leave. Nothing else. No threats. No demands. Just a command. The Dominion Council hesitated. They were rulers of an empire spanning thousands of light years. Surely they could retaliate. But then another message arrived. This time it was a live feed. It showed Earth's orbital defense grid powering up. And behind it, something far worse. An entire human armada preparing to launch. Humanity had let them attack first. Now it was their turn. The Dominion Council chamber was silent. Not the kind of silence that came from contemplation or diplomacy. No, this was the silence of impending doom. On the massive holo display before them, Earth's fleet had finished its preparations. Their warships, colossal, blackened monoliths of destruction, had begun their final approach. But it was the message that had broken the Council's will. One word. Leave. For the first time in Dominion history, an empire that had crushed civilizations for centuries felt fear. But it was already too late. The human counterattack begins. The Dominion's home fleet scrambled to prepare their defenses. Admirals barked orders. Shipyards pumped out vessels at full capacity. Artillery stations powered up. It was all pointless. Humanity had no intention of fighting a fair war. Their first strike wasn't a barrage of plasma cannons. It was silence. The Dominion's long-range sensors went dark. Then their communications cut out. By the time they realized what was happening, it was already over. From the void, the human fleet emerged, not with guns blazing but with precision. Every key target, orbital defenses, command centers, supply hubs, was hit first. Not destroyed. Disabled. The Dominion fleet tried to respond. They never got the chance. Before their captains could even issue firing orders, their ships began shutting down. One by one. Powerless. Helpless. The humans had taken control of their entire fleet. And then the real horror began. The empire that was no more. On the surface, Dominion forces waited for the invasion. But the humans didn't send soldiers. They sent their message again. Leave. No demands. No terms. Just a single word. Some thought it was a bluff. They sent defiant messages, cursing humanity, vowing revenge. Those messages were never received. One by one, cities lost power. Weapons refused to fire. Defense systems turned against their own creators. And then the skies fell. Not with bombs. Not with death. With exile. Ships, thousands of them, descended from orbit, not to destroy the Dominion's worlds but to remove their people from them. Entire populations were rounded up and sent into space. Stripped of their planets. Stripped of their empire. The Dominion was no more. The final warning. In the ruins of what was once the most powerful empire in the galaxy, a single transmission was sent out. From Earth. To every species. Every council. Every warlord. The message was clear. This was a warning. And then Earth vanished from all known communication networks. No transmissions. No responses. Just the echoing memory of an empire that had thought itself invincible, until it had chosen war with humans. And lost everything. Fire never start a war with humans. Subscribe for more stories like this. Rocket.